Hey, what's up? I'm Desiree and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am an inspiring content creator and writer, and here on my channel I share some creative self-expression and some wisdom and insights that I learned through my life experience. And this video I'm going to talk about what spirituality is, or the purpose of spirituality, in order to get you to critically think whether or not your own spiritual stuff, that whatever it is that you are believing in, is helping or hurting you. Now, this is a little bit of a follow-up from my previous video where I did a rant on spirituality, but as I was doing some reflection on some of my other videos here on my channel, I realized that I probably wasn't being as clear with you of my own personal perspective of what spirituality is, as I was sharing some information that kind of gets categorized in spirituality. So this video, I'm going to clear the air so that way you get a better understanding of what my perspective is on spirituality. But just a brief disclaimer here, my personal spiritual story is a little bit provocative in nature. So it may be upsetting for some, it may be distasteful for some, or you might just say, oh my God, Desiree, you've lost your mind. But it is what it is. So my personal experience, if you're not familiar with it, I was heavily involved in Christianity for 17, 18 years before I decided to take the leap of faith out of organized religion into this world of spirituality. And in that process, I exposed myself to a bunch of different belief systems on this search of trying to find a deeper understanding of God and life and all this stuff that falls under spirituality. Because when we're talking about spirituality, we really are talking about a term, or an umbrella term, that has a lot of definitions that fall under it, like religions and belief systems, and even this awareness and consciousness movement that we currently see going on as somewhat of a trend. So let's talk about spirituality then. What is spirituality? Spirituality is something that is individual. It's individual because I cannot get inside your consciousness. I cannot get inside your worldview. I cannot get into the way that you view the world. What I mean by this is you are your own unique person. You have all of these experiences that you were exposed to, all of these belief systems that, of course, you adopted a majority of it early on in childhood from your societal conditioning, your culture, your parents, everything else, everything that you were exposed to of like, hey, this is what life is, this is what you should believe in, this is God, etc., etc., etc. And this is kind of like the default mode that humans just kind of naturally get programmed with. But as we begin to get older and we see life, or we experience things that are mystical in nature, supernatural in nature, or spiritual in nature, we begin to question, or we should begin to question, what we were actually being taught or what we were exposed to is actually leading us towards something higher, bigger than what we currently know or see or can experience. So you have an individual spirit and you want to define or become more aligned with your individual spirit. How would you do that? Now, you would probably do what a lot of people do. They follow religions, they follow dogmas, they follow spiritual paths, they follow other spiritual teachers, they follow people that they admire or feel that their spiritual perspective resonates to what they would like to have, or maybe it is something that is closely aligned to their own individual spirit, which is fine. It's great. You can do whatever you want to do, but you have to go a little bit deeper when we're talking about what true spirituality is and what true spirituality isn't. So when we're talking about awareness and consciousness, the best way that I like to describe awareness and consciousness is a perspective that takes a step back from your ideas or your thoughts, or the way that you conceptualize the world that you currently are experiencing. Because at certain levels of awareness or consciousness or experiences in life, there's going to be times, if you're raising your consciousness, that you're not going to be able to explain it with a limited knowledge of language, just because your mind cannot create some of these words to explain what you are experiencing. And when it does, it doesn't do it any justice, right? So this is where it gets very tricky, or the barriers come into place when a person wants to guide or direct someone to being more in tune with their own individual spirit. And that whole process of like you becoming aware of your own individual spirit is something that's going to take many, many years, because it really is a process of not only critically thinking about your spiritual perspective, but then it gets into the existential questioning. Why we are here on earth? Who is God? Is my perspective of God wrong? You know, these are the questions that you will need to ask yourself if you really are truly trying to define your individual spirit. So it's not that somebody on YouTube or even a religion or a church or a guru or a teacher can give you this level of awareness. Rather, all it can ever do is to hopefully be a sense of a guide, a sense of a direction, of a tool in order for you to look within and reflect and introspect on, you know, what is correct and what isn't correct for you. So in a nutshell, that's what true spirituality is, right? It's something that is really difficult to directly communicate just because it involves so much. And the best way for you to tap into your own individual spirit is to know yourself and to use divination tools. You know, I'm not against using astrology. I talk about, you know, human design, which uses astrology, and some Eastern traditions of like the I Ching and the Kabbalah, of, you know, some of these belief systems of alluding to what reality potentially could be. But it is going to be up to you to define your life in a more meaningful way that suits your individual spirit. And that's what you should be communicating to me, not what I should be communicating to you. That was a mouthful, but now that I had some time to reflect and to give you something that does broaden the way that I look at spirituality and kind of categorize it into philosophy, it will help you to better just see my perspective as I talk about certain topics found within spirituality. And if you are interested in a very provocative and entertaining story of my own personal experience, you can head on over to DesireeClements.com and check out some of my products where I share my creative, lecture-ish art form of my own personal experience of being within Christianity. And you can check out my latest book on Amazon. It's a short poetry book, which will also help you to heal through some of your own personal traumas if you are on like the path of doing like shadow work and really just want some inspiration on how you can share your own poetry. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, where you can get all of the latest content and some other bonus features that I don't necessarily or can't provide here on my YouTube channel. And yes, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any new and upcoming videos that are going to be entertaining and enlightening and always rooted in helping you to be inspired to find your own unique individual spirit. So that's it, and I'll see you in the future. Thanks for watching to the end. You are an awesome human being, and I'll see you next time. Bye.